The opinions expressed in the following paid program do not necessarily represent those of WJZ, CBS Radio, its employees, or sponsors.
You're listening to Dave, the Real Estate Guy, your expert on real estate, mortgages, and finance. If you'd like to talk to Dave, call 410-481-1300. Now, here's your host of the Real Estate Guy from Resource Real Estate, Dave Kowitz.
Welcome to the show. I hope you all had a great day. Today, I am fresh off a mortgage conference in Atlantic City. It was a regional mortgage conference, and we have great news in the mortgage world. We have even better news in the real estate world. And because of that, we have Robert Commodari from RE/MAX American Dream here with us today, and Jake Smith from First Mariner Mortgage, a subsidiary of First Mariner Bank. Welcome to the show, guys. How y'all doing?
Great, Dave. Thanks for having us back here. Good to see you, Jake.
Doing well. Thanks for having us.
First of all, it's always great to see you, have you back. You guys have a lot of good information to share today. I'm excited for the listeners. And the first thing I want to tell you is I heard the keynote speaker at the mortgage conference in Atlantic City this past week, and his name's David Stevens. Actually, he's a giant in the mortgage industry, an advisor to President Obama, the Big O, not Oprah, but the other Big O. And it was great hearing him, because he gave some reasons for some of the things we take for granted, and I'm going to be happy to share that with everybody today. So, and I was just talking before we came on. I was talking to Robert Commodari from RE/MAX, and he was there. So he was telling me that it's time to get excited about real estate, and I want to start the show with that. Why should we be getting excited about real estate? But I couldn't agree with you more. The numbers, the statistics, what we see out there. First of all, it's music to my ears. I think it's time for, people. We've had a hard time here, with the recession and other things. So the fact that real estate is rebounding, the fact that real estate is basically the bottom has come and gone. I'm happy to go on record. Based upon everything that I'm seeing, real estate has hit the bottom, and actually, we have to look back because the bottom of the market is behind us. And I think good things are, those sellers out there, there's good things. And when's the last time you heard anybody say there's good things for sellers? So let's start there.
Thanks, Dave. Good to be back again. I appreciate it. Yeah, I'm pretty excited about the market these days. Things are really hopping. I would tell you this, it's turned into a seller's market in a lot of areas in Baltimore metro area. Things are hopping. Again, I think last time we were on, we were talking about how the inventory has shrunk, and that's caused prices to, I guess, move up a little bit here. From December 2012, from December 2011, prices are up like 5%, I think they say. So things are moving.
That's amazing. Right. I mean, if you heard that correctly, 5%. 5% when some real estate markets were down 50% from 2008.
Right, yeah, now don't misconstrue that. Like, for instance, a projection for 2013, and this is a national number, they're saying prices will increase 2.5%. So, but the market's moving in the right direction. Like Dave said, he thinks that the market has hit bottom and we're moving up. We've hit the bottom in a lot of areas. Things are starting to move up. They're starting to move up, and what I see more than anything else, which is a good indicator for sellers, that is, you're seeing multiple offers on a lot of properties. You're seeing houses sell in a lot quicker fashion. I think the time frame now is, maybe 2 to 3 months. And I can sit here and tell you a lot of experience I had in the last month alone. You price a house right, you have it in good shape, and it's a good condition, good area, you could sell it. I'm going to tell you in a week or two, maybe a month.
All right, callers, I want you to call in 410-481-1300, 410-481-1300. I want you to talk to Robert about your real estate ideas. What do you think? Should you sell? Should you buy? That's what we're going to be doing today. We're going to be discussing, reasons for and against all that in your personal situation. And also, I want you to call and talk to Jake Smith, 410-481-1300. The reason is, what I learned in this mortgage conference the last week is banks, private money, Wells Fargo, a lot of people out there are starting to put very attractive purchase programs and not government backed. This is music to my ears as a taxpayer. I'm happy to hear this. But I'm very happy. Taxpayers, there's if you're driving a car, you're listening to the show, you're a taxpayer. So listen up. So we have we have something that is good, a shift from or in addition to FHA products, 3.5% down payment. Now, as Jake is going to maybe elaborate on in a little while, we'll get to it, is we have a 3% conventional program that is being done, if you will, in the private sector. The big banks, not exact, and there's some very good advantages to using that program, which, and I want the listeners to be aware of that when you're purchasing a house. If you're talking to somebody and they don't even know what you're talking about, you're talking to the wrong person. So, Jake, can you go into maybe that new program that I'm excited about, apparently?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, this year we're seeing the mortgage insurance companies loosen their guidelines. So starting with 3% down, somebody can get into a home, and that's even without mortgage insurance. So it's very exciting out there right now because we're bringing in more buyers, especially to the conventional side, since FHA government loans controlled about 80% of the purchases in 2012. And, speaking about bottoms, we also saw interest rates hit a bottom. So even prices are going up. It's also important to realize that, October 2012, we saw rates the lowest they've ever been in history. Well, now we've seen those rates come up about 0.25%. So not only, is it time to, get into a home while, prices are still moderately low, but also so you can get a, exceptionally good rate because, the Federal Reserve does say those rates are going to go up come 2014.
Now, when you compare FHA, and again, everybody's situation is different, but it's my understanding that FHA guidelines are a little looser. The government-backed 3.5% down purchase programs a little looser, but maybe because of credit scores or other other things, other variables. And in the case in conventional, maybe you need a 720 credit score. So, the programs are coming out there, and when the programs initially come to the market, come to me and you out there, they come to us. They always come out with the strongest or the hardest foot first. So as time goes on, you'll see the private money ease up on the restrictions. Maybe it goes down to 700, and then maybe the credit score to qualify for this 3% conventional non-FHA purchase program. Maybe this credit score goes down to 680, where the FHA, the government-backed purchase programs are already down there. You can already qualify with a lesser of a credit score. So, but right now, this is a good move in real estate. This is good for everybody. We are seeing 3% non-government loans out there for purchasing, and I'm excited about that. So, and when Jake, Rob, and I met yesterday to go over, what we were going to talk about today, besides getting heartburn, we figured out, basically the antacid was everything we were talking about. We figured out that there's such good news out there, and it is time to get excited about real estate. I've talked to many realtors who said, this is their best year, or 2012 was a good year. Well, I haven't talked to one person that expects 2013 to be a bad year in real estate. So it's important to understand that. And what does that exactly mean? How do I capitalize on that good news? Well, the main way you capitalize on that good news is you work with somebody like Rob from RE/MAX, American Dream. Why do you work with somebody like Rob from RE/MAX? Well, because he has a track record. He doesn't close one loan a month or two loans a month. He closes dozens of loans a month. He does what he does. So what does that mean? He's been there. He's seen that. He's done that. He's sold that. He's listed that house. He might even listed your house one time. So the point is, you need experience, because no matter whether the news is good, you want to capitalize on it, and whether the news is bad, you want to marginalize the deficit, that you want to marginalize the effect of that bad news, and therefore you need to work with somebody who not just your uncle or your brother or your mom. Well intended, but well intentions don't get you where you need to go, where you need. So the main way you can reach Rob to answer, if you don't want to call in, is how do they reach you? You
can reach me on my cell phone at 410-262-7396. You can also reach me at www.talktorob.com. So I'm happy to help you with anything. And Dave, if I can elaborate real quick.
Please.
I mean, it is good news. It's exciting news for sellers. And bear in mind, there's still a lot of sellers out there that are underwater, and I understand that. But now, if you're sitting on the fence and you're saying, I don't know if I can afford to sell, because there's people out there that say that. I don't know if I can afford to sell yet. Well, now's a good time because there's buyers out there. I'll tell you, there's more buyers than sellers out there right now. And that's going to put you in a good position if you have a good time, if you're in a time frame that you need to sell. Now's the time. Now, bear in mind, we're not trying to say there's bad news for buyers. I mean, it's been a buyer's market for the last 7 years. But it is still a great time for buyers to buy, as Jake will tell you regarding interest rates. But the thing with buyers this year, and I spoke about this 2 months ago when we were on the show, this summer, this spring, you won't be able to go out there as a buyer and look at a few houses and say, you know what, I'm going to think about it for a week or two. Because, like I said, if it's priced right and it's a good house, it's going to go. So you don't have time to think. You have to be ready. You have to have your finances in order, your loan numbers in order. You have to be ready to buy if you see the house you like.
We got a caller, Leon from Pikesville. Love to take that call.
Hello?
Leon, you're on.
Hey, guys. How are you doing tonight?
Doing great.
Good. I've been listening to the show. A couple questions for you. I live out in the suburbs and in a townhouse community, and unfortunately, there's been quite a few short sales and some foreclosures. But my house, I've been paying my bills, and I'm looking to move into upgrade my house. How are all of those horrible sales going to impact my ability to pull my equity and sell my house?
I think I've actually this question's come up a few shows ago, I believe, and basically, the appraiser. You need to talk to an appraiser because an appraiser has exclusions for certain things and inclusions, and Rob's going to elaborate on that. But the appraiser is the key, and how the appraiser handles that is going to determine the value of your property. And really, that's beyond the scope of this discussion. I mean, I'd love to help you further. But
the other part of my question,
Rob would like to.
Leon, I can jump in on that, Leon. What happens when you have a lot of houses in the area that are short sold and you want to sell yours? The appraiser's going to go in. Now, I'm not an appraiser, but they're going to go in and what makes the market? If there are resale houses out there that are not short sales, they're going to go to those comps, those comparables first to see if they can comp out your house. If you got a contract on your house. Now, if all that's in the area are just short sales, then that makes the market. They have to use that to appraise your house.
But how do I get somebody to pay? I mean, I'm not talking about a premium, but how do I get someone to pay what my house is worth when there's all these other houses that they could pick up for less?
I guess the direct answer is basically you can't because you have a problem, and that has to be dealt with by the appraiser and your bank. And I wish I could help you further. I don't have all the answers, but
Dave, let me interject one thing: is that an appraisal is a fair representation of market value, and a fair representation is not all of the short sales or foreclosures out there. So an appraiser that knows how to do their job is going to write a fair report that includes not only, if there are short sales or foreclosures out there, but they're also going to include normal sales because that's part of the market as well.
So would a local bank like yours kind of recognize that area instead of just looking at it on a map?
Well, the appraiser is a third party that operates solely on their own, and they have to adhere to guidelines put forth by Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac. But yes, that they do follow that same path when doing an appraisal.
I said there was good news out there, Leon. So I'm sorry you're not sharing in the good news. But
thanks for the time, guys.
I do appreciate your call.
Thanks,
Thank you. And we're going to go to Nicole from Abington next, please. Nicole?
Hi, my question's for Rob.
Yes, ma'am. How can we help you?
Well, my parents are getting up in age. They're both retired, and their house is just really too big for them at this time. So I'm wondering if this is a good time to downsize and what their choices might be as far as maybe if there's communities to move into or maybe just some ideas for them.
Thanks, Nicole. Appreciate you listening. Appreciate the call. There's several options out there. Recently, as over the last 3 or 4 years, I've been working with a retirement community at Oakcrest, and there's others out there as well. And, if the house is too big, and that's what you find out as people get up in age, they just can't handle that much of a house.
Don't want to go up the steps.
Right. So, the body just really can't tolerate it.
Neither do I.
So, in any event, so I've helped a lot of people move out of their homes and into whether it's a retirement community, assisted living facility, or even a small condo. So, there's options out there for them. As far as being a good time to sell, absolutely. Like I said, over the last 3 years I've been doing this, it's taken some time for these people to get their home sold, and it's hard. It's a lot of stress. And, when you're older, it's I think stress is handled in a different way, and you got to be more on top of things. And it's just, right now, with the market being what it is, I'd say it's a really good time to get that house on the market and get it sold. And I tell you, if you have any questions, other than online on the show here now, feel free to call me and help walk you through that.
Okay, great. That sounds really good. Thanks very much.
You're welcome. Thank you for the call.
Sure.
And I do want to get back. There are always options. There's always options for. There's always a reason for wanting to sell your house. And as we progress throughout this year, the answer is going to be more yes than no now, because the home prices are going up. Now, what we have to be careful of, and the hardest thing to predict, is interest rates. As Jake will attest, if he knew what the interest rates were going to do, I don't, he wouldn't be here.
That would be living in Vegas, not here.
Right. He'd be making the odds. And I do want to. We have De La Rosa's in White Marsh on the Avenue. We're going to give away to the fifth caller. We're going to give away a $20 gift certificate. In the next, so I want the fifth caller. You get the $20 gift certificate to De La Rosa's. Maybe you could watch March Madness there. Great place to watch a ball game.
Now, here's your host of The Real Estate Guy from Resource Real Estate, Dave Kowitz.
All right, thank you for the calls. We're back with Rob Commodari from RE/MAX American Dream and Jake Smith from First Mariner Mortgage. We're basically talking real estate. We're talking mortgages. A lot of good and new programs out for purchasing. This is really good news for those first-time home buyers and anybody who wants to purchase a house. So you can put as little as 3% down in some circumstances, or you can opt for the 20% traditional model down. But you got to talk to Jake. You got to talk to Rob to figure out what you should do and where you fit into the spectrum. We're going to go right to the phones. I want to thank the callers. We're going to go from Mike from Towson. You're on.
Oh, yeah. How you doing? I just had a quick question. I'm going to be looking to purchase a home in probably the next 6 months. And obviously you can't predict the future, but where do you see home values in the next 6 months? I'm putting trying to get together my down payment now. And also, what do you see happening with the rates in 6 months to a year down the road?
Well, Mike, thanks for calling. I can't tell you exactly where the prices are going, but I'll tell you they're going up unless we have some catastrophic event occur here, But I see them going up. I mean, the market, the inventory is shrinking. I'm going to tell you. I mean, by the day, it's shrinking by the day. I have buyers call me all the time saying, I'm looking and looking and looking, and I can't find anything that I like. That's a good indicator that the inventory is shrinking. And then, again, when people make offers on listings, I'm getting multiple offers. Another good indicator. So all those variables lead to higher prices. It's a matter of supply and demand. So 6 months from now, I think you're going to see higher prices.
Okay, and with this being my first purchase, what kind of programs are out there?
Well, I can handle that. Mike, there's a lot of programs out there. I'm not sure how much you were planning on putting down, but programs start at 3% down. What did you have in mind as far as how much you wanted to put down on a home?
Ultimately, I was trying to put together the 20% down payment. I wasn't sure what more flexibility that would give me putting down a larger down payment like that.
Well, believe it or not, if depending on on your credit, which does have a lot to play with it, typically putting 5% down and up to 20% down will actually get you the same interest rate on a conventional loan. So a lot of clients end up seeing the numbers and what they're comfortable with. Putting 10% down might be an option for you. And we have plenty of programs that also have no mortgage insurance at that point. And as far as interest rates, the Federal Reserve has committed to keeping them low through the end of the year. But as some of the economic figures come out, inflation, unemployment, depending on how those react, interest rates could go up sooner than later.
Okay, I appreciate all the help.
All right. Thanks for calling in.
Thank you very much for the phone call. Again, Will from Perry Hall won the first gift certificate. That was caller number 5. He got away with not asking a question on the air. We're gonna the next caller. We're gonna need you to ask a question. So we're gonna take the fifth caller who goes on there and asks a question to either Rob or Jake or or Dave the Real Estate Guy. So I want to go over some facts because some industry facts are actually, facts can be used, for any purpose really. But I find them encouraging. Over the next 3 years, home prices are projected to rise a total of 15%. Obviously that's an average of 5%. Yeah, that's great. This is what's expected to happen. Again, when you get into predicting the future, it's somewhat of a sorcery in some ways. But if the last year is any indication, it's really good. For instance, 32% of homes sold in November 2012 were on the market for less than a month. 32% of homes sold in November 2012 were on the market for less than a month. Now, that is incredible. That is incredible. While only 20% were on the market for 6 months or longer. So you're saying 1 out of 5 houses they struggled to sell. But the wide, I guess everything else was in between. So everything else, if it was less than a month, and then the other 48% was between 1 month and 6 months, which to me, you talk about a crazy market. This is good. This is a great stat.
Dave, if I could jump in, it all comes down to price. If there's an issue with a house, say you're in a shared driveway, that comes with a price. If you're living on a main road, and you got a double yellow line highway right in front of you, you might not get what the other houses in the neighborhood behind you get because that's going to come with a price. People might not be as enthusiastic about buying that house as they would elsewhere in the community.
That may be the 1 out of the 5.
Right, exactly. So if you're in that area or in that situation and you haven't sold yet, well, you're going to have to come down price.
Okay, so the bottom line there is you need an expert on your side that has the guts, the know-how. So when Rob advises you, he's not scared that you'll walk away. He's going to advise you what he actually thinks. So if you are on that double line, he's going to say, look, your price it should be this. If you want to sell your house, I know from my experience that you can't price it that the white picket fence house, deep in the neighborhood, away from the double yellow line, away from the main street. It's not the same house, not the same place, not the same land. So but there's some people out there that will acquiesce. They will make you, they'll tell you what you want to hear rather than what you want, that you should hear. So they'll let your emotion dictate how they advise you. Your emotion, as we don't know what we're doing when we sell a house, when we list our house, or when we go buy a house, that's a major event in somebody's life. And, I think sometimes we take it for granted, It is a major event. You want somebody, a Jake Smith, a Rob in your corner to tell you exactly what the landscape is, what you should expect. So that, there's a lot of questions. You're probably just driving in your car thinking about, that house you had. And if you have a question, call in 410-481-1300. We're going to go to the lines. We have Pete is on the line. Pete, if you're on, shoot.
Yeah, I'm here, guys. I appreciate you taking our calls today. I was wondering, man, I'm looking online to buy a house, and I'm just not confident. I'm growing less and less confident with the inventory that I've seen.
Right.
Is this a reflection of the market? Is it really that much of a seller's market, or am I better suited to speak with an actual realtor as opposed to perusing, the online inventory? Just if you guys can speak to that, I'd appreciate it.
Well, I have one question before Rob gets, because Rob's, he's licking his lips right now. He can't wait to talk. So I feel he almost knocked me out of my seat. But here's what I want to say. Have you gotten pre-qualified yet? Do you know how much house you can afford?
No, I have an idea, but no, I haven't gone through and worked with a lender to get an actual pre-qual.
Okay, it's essential. Jake's right next to me. He could tell you what you qualify for. He could tell you that what your credit score is. He could tell you all these things. You could get a good feel of, number one, if you're going to look online, you might as well do it. Your search parameters should include price. That's almost, that's a very big part of searching for a house. What can I afford? And then the even more important question is, what should I afford? A lot of times certain expenses don't report on credit. They're not calculated into the debt ratio when a bank's doing that. But you know what your debt, like for instance, let's say your lawn care. Well, that could be up, I don't know what it could be, but it's something. So lawn care, maintenance, that is not in your debt to income ratio, which is one of the variables, how you evaluate what you qualify for, how much house you can afford, how much mortgage you can afford. So that's a great place to. So first and foremost, I would advise you, whether you're doing it on the internet or the realtor or both, you got to find out what you qualify for so then you have a good idea of what to look for. And then the realtor, one of the first, and Rob can attest, and one of the first questions he's going to ask is that. Mm-hmm. So go ahead, Rob.
Absolutely.
I'm sorry to cut you off.
The first step in the process is absolutely to get pre-qualified. And you can talk to Jake about that. And like you said, I wouldn't lose confidence. Again, it's an exciting time. As sellers see that now's a good time to sell their house, you're going to see some houses come on the market. I'm not going to sit here and say there's going to be a plethora of houses hitting the market, but you got to be on your game. You have to be ready to go. If you see something you like, you need to call your realtor because your realtor is going to get you in the house. If you're doing it on your own and you don't have a realtor, it's a potluck shot. You call the listing agent and maybe you get them, maybe you don't. So you want to have a realtor that's representing you in your back pocket, who's working for you, who's looking out for your best interest. And you give that person a call, and I'd be happy to help you, obviously. And you go out looking. But again, I think the key here is you need to be ready to move. If you see something you like and you could see yourself living in that house and it's affordable, you don't have a week or two to think about it. You need to be ready to go.
Well, okay. And I think, Pete, one of the things you got to take into consideration is with interest rates as low as they are, a lot of people can qualify, and with the down payment programs out there, a lot of people can qualify for that coveted house, for that house in that neighborhood that everybody, as soon as it goes on the market, people are jumping up and down to, I want that. And then they find out they can qualify for it.
The good news is that affordability is at its highest point ever. So with where rates are and prices are, you're not going to be able to. There's not going to be a point in history moving forward where you're going to be able to afford more. So it's good. It's good you're looking out there right now, Pete.
Yeah. Okay.
Thanks, Pete.
I appreciate it, guys.
Thank you.
And then we're gonna go to Mike from Hunt Valley. Mike from Hunt Valley, new construction versus existing. Mike, are you on?
Yes,
sir.
I'm here. Hey, thanks for taking my call. I appreciate it.
I appreciate the call. Thank you for supporting radio.
I was just wondering a question for Rob and you as well. I'm a buyer and I'm looking. I'm really having a tough time finding what I like, and I'm wondering if you'd recommend going in the new construction route or to keep kind of pounding the pavement, trying to find some existing inventories.
Thanks for calling in, Mike. I tell you, it's a both and answer. You keep pounding the payment because you might want a resale house that's out there that you could be in 30 to 60 days. If your time frame's different, and say you have a 6 to 7 month time frame that you're looking to get a house, that's how long it's going to take to get a new house built. Now, I welcome anybody out there to look at new construction, but I tell you, with one caveat there, is you need to take a realtor in there. Most people, I think it's 52% of all new buyers, do not even know that they can have a realtor walk in with them through that door and represent them in the purchase of a new home. And the thing is, you go into a new construction and you're sitting there, you're talking to the salesperson. They represent the seller. Okay. They do not represent you. They will help you, but they represent the seller. So you need representation on your side to help you make a good decision. And, there's going to be a lot of pros and cons of going into house, looking at new construction versus resale house.
Robin, remember, everything's negotiable. So, your job as the buyer's agent to go in there and make sure they're getting a fair price for that new home. So it's definitely important to have a realtor there.
Okay. Hey, Mike, I need you to hang tight. You're listening to Dave, the real estate guy, on CBS Sports Radio. Hey, welcome back. We're going to go right to the phones with Bob from Pasadena, and he's got a question. What makes Rob different from other agents? Welcome to the show. And by the way, Bob, you won the second gift certificate to De La Rosa's in White Marsh on the Avenue.
Hey, awesome.
Congratulations, my man.
It's going to cost you $20 in gas to get up here.
Yeah, Bob, there's so many real estate agents out there. So what makes you different? And I love your motto, talk to Rob.
I appreciate that, Bob. Thank you so much. Look, there's not a match for everybody. Some people you're just not going to connect with. But, I'll sit here and tell you, I tell people when I'm sitting across the table from them that I have good news and I have bad news for you. And they'll look at me like I got three heads. And I'll say, well, the bad news is you're stuck with me for the rest of your life. And they'll start laughing. And I said, the good news is you're stuck with me for the rest of your life. And what I mean by that is I don't look at this as a transaction. Any real estate dealing, it is not a transaction to me. I'm building a relationship with people. I want to know about you. I want to know about your family. I want to know about your interests. I want to know about your goals and your dreams. And obviously, one of your dreams is going to be buying a house. That's one of, any American, that's one of the biggest dreams in their lifetime is to buy a house. And I want to help with that. But I also want to make sure you're making the right decision because you're going to have different goals. I mean, you might have kids and you might want to budget for them or save for retirement. Well, if that's the case where you want to save for retirement and put kids through college and maybe have an investment property, well, I don't want you buying too much of a house. So I'm going to ask you those kinds of questions just to see where you are with things. But the whole scheme of things, I listen and I care, and I'm not sitting here telling you that other realtors don't listen, don't care. But I have a sincere interest in you and the well-being.
Good answer.
Rob, I think that's very important because we see a lot of first-time home buyers call in and they want to buy the house of their dreams, but it's not necessarily the thing you want to do when you're a first-time home buyer. You want to be comfortable with the mortgage payment and make sure you've got all your goals and priorities in line. Because everybody, once they buy the house, they want to get that car next. Well, you got to consider that before purchasing the house. So I think Rob does a great job, and that's what I try to do as well. In terms of making sure people qualify, because just because you can afford it doesn't mean that it's going to be the right house for you.
How can people get in touch with you and talk about qualifying for a house? How can people?
They can reach me at any time on my cell phone. It's 410-707-7280, or they can reach me on my website at www.firstmarinermortgage.com/Jake Smith.
All right. Now, how about you, Rob?
You can reach me on my cell phone at 410-262-7396. That's 262-7396. You can also reach me on my website, as Bob, you just mentioned. That's www.talktorob.com. And I'm happy to help you. Bob, does that help you with your question, though?
Oh, yeah. Every Sunday when I look at that paper, I see thousands of pictures of real estate agents. And it's like, you get overwhelmed.
Well, and it's just a different way that some realtors market or brand themselves, so to speak. And I'll sit here and tell you, you may never see a picture of me in the newspaper. It's just not the way I go. I'm more concerned about investing my time and resources in the people and not, let's just say, a picture of myself.
Okay. Well, you got the catchy motto, talk to Rob.
Thanks, Bob.
All right, thank you.
And a lot of things that listeners may or may not know, they if a realtor's picture is next to a house, it doesn't mean they have to use that realtor to buy the house. That is the listing agent, and you should have representation going into that house if you wish to buy it, or at least explore the opportunity to buy it. So
yeah, that's correct. Yeah, absolutely.
And being the buyer's agent, it doesn't cost the buyer anything. So, that's important to know. Don't be scared, thinking that you're going to have to shell out money for your realtor. You maybe talk a little bit about that as far as the seller paying. Yeah,
the seller pays the realtor fees, and the buyer. But everybody who buys a house eventually, God willing, sells a house.
Well, yeah, and the seller, in general, the seller pays the fee, pays the commission, and that's typically split between the buying agent and the listing agent. And that's where those monies go there. But, there's a lot of things that go on behind the scenes, So I think a lot of people in general think, hey, man, I get a realtor, they put a sign up, we sign a contract, they sell the house and make a ton of money. It's not that simple. There's a psychology in real estate, and it's tough. I tell people 60% of the time I'm a psychologist, and 40% of the time I'm a realtor.
Well, we've had discussions in preparation for this show, and just when we're talking, we talk about basically your goal, and you've touched on it a couple times this show, and I don't think it can be stated enough. Your goal as a buyer is really important, and as a seller for that matter. But when you're buying, the emotion. I mean, this is an important. You're happy. You just got married, or you're going to buy more house. You had your starter house. Now you're going to buy your dream house. There can be a lot of emotion in the buying process. And again, like Bob just asked, why Rob? The reason why Rob, an experienced realtor, is because he can direct that emotion and take it away a little bit and say, you should be happy you're buying a house, but you need to realize that emotion should never dictate what or your biggest life decision, which is buying a house?
Well, yeah, I mean, and Jake, I know you can speak to that because people who are spending the money, you put them in a loan for it. But, it's when people are buying a house, whether you're a first-time buyer, a first-time seller, or a second-time buyer, I know when I'm sitting across the table from you and you're ready to sign paperwork, I know your stomach is in knots. I know it's doing flips. And that's a common occurrence. And I think sometimes, clients, they don't want to show that they're nervous, and look, I can empathize with it. I'm here to help. I'm here to talk you through those stresses and those anxieties. And one of the best ways to do that is just to communicate. If I say, use me as sounding board, use me to vent, use me to tell me how good I am, but use me to get your feelings out and your concerns and your thoughts. Use me for that, and we'll walk through things.
Yeah, I think it's important to touch on the goals, because the goal is not just to buy a house. The goal is, what are the reasons for buying that house? And you touched on it before. That's what really drives you. And, we want to understand that. So, we can look down the road and, look, maybe that there's a second home purchase, for that vacation home you wanted. And, those are things you have to plan now, for even if it's 10, 20 years down the road.
So if you want concierge service, to reach Rob, you can always reach him on the cell phone, 410-626-7396. So it's 262-7396. And to reach Jake, you can reach him at 410-707-7280, 7280. Again, it's important to get somebody on your side that knows the difference between the government programs, the conventional programs, whether you're buying a house or you're refinancing, what your options are. Do you want to put 3% down? Do you want to put 20% down? Are there grant programs available that First Mariner features? Maybe there are. Somebody like Jake knows about them. An experienced guy's been in the business for many, many years. That's why he's on the show. That's why he's talking to you today. So again, but I do want to reiterate, and it cannot be said enough. There's great news in real estate. Sellers, for the first time, we're seeing multiple offers on properties. We're seeing, so competing offers, and again, dare I say, escalation clause. I've talked to some realtors, including Rob. There's talks, and there's actually escalation clauses in some contracts now, which is, in my mind, something that I wouldn't have anticipated this soon.
Oh, yeah, and not to mention, there are houses right now that are selling above their list price, at or above, or pretty close to it. Over the last 7 years, you were knocking the price down by 10% or so. But what's happening right now, that discount has already been taken into account, and values are pretty good right now. And if people use a realtor, price his house right, you're not going to see too much fluctuation from where that list price is.
So which makes it so important to have a pre-qual letter and to be ready to go to purchase that home. And that's one thing that we make sure you do, that you have a competitive offer going in, that you're pre-qualified, and that you're if Rob is going to do the right job and hopefully get you that home, but we're going to make sure you have every tool necessary to make a competitive offer and give you the highest chance of getting that home. But it all starts with the pre-qual letter with me. So
and both Jake and Rob, they work with financial advisors. They work with each other. They try to determine, for instance, $300,000 house, 3% down versus 20% down. The down payment, strictly speaking, the down payment $60,000 for your 20% down, and $9,000 for 3% down. Well, if you're getting a 4% rate or anywhere near that, and would you rather have borrow a little money, have $50,000 in the bank? Or would you you can use that money, or you can replace your roof if necessary. I first of all want to thank Rob Commodari from Remax American Dream and Jake Smith from First Mariner Bank.
Thanks for having us, David.
Thanks,
so
much.
Dave. Appreciate it.